YouTubers, welcome back to AZ2 Ozarks. It is a beautiful day on the homestead today. It is supposed to get all the way up to a little bit over 60 degrees today. The snow is melting everywhere and the ground is starting to thaw. So we are refocusing back on the greenhouse, and there isn't much wind today, so we're hoping we can get the plastic up. Let's get started. Now that the plastic is all up, the next thing to put in is wiggle wire. So wiggle wire is this stuff down here, and it fits into this gap here on the end posts. So it just goes on the two end posts there, and that will hold the plastic steady there. And then we'll go across and add additional supports.
Pull this a little bit tight, son.
So this is the wiggle wire, and that's essentially what it does, is it wiggles back and forth inside the channel in order to secure the plastic there so it doesn't slip around and come off completely. So this is the first step in securing the plastic. With the wiggle wire in place on both of the ends of the greenhouse, next we are going to start using rope, and it's just a simple rope. It kind of goes down the middle of these, but it will go from the base of the first spar to the base of the second on the opposite side, and then back to the base of the third. And then we'll get all the way to the end, and then we'll come back and make X's. So the rope will form X's over top of the plastic. And we make a little knot. So the first one gets hooked on at the base down here. And then we have it set on the ladder like this with a bar through the middle so it'll freely unwind, making that a little bit easier rather than having to hold it. So Rick's gathering a bunch of slack here, and then he's going to throw it to Keegan on the other side, who will hook it on the other side. All right, so let's go around the other side. Lots of ponds, little puddles around here today because of all the melting snow.
It's not tangled.
Give us a moment to untangle that.
Okay.
Nope, undo it and redo it. Don't have it crossed. So it came over from the first pole, and Keegan is affixing it to the second pole. And then because it was a loop, it's back over going that way to the third pole. Get back over here.
Already hooked it up.
And it's hooked onto the third side. So if you can see, it goes up to that side and back down to this side. With the first set of zigzags in place, now we're going to prepare to come back and cross them, making it into X's. Okay, so with a knot at this end, he will now affix it to the first bar on this side, the first hoop.
Nope, not yet.
Some of these got pretty well buried in the mud
Okay.
from all the snow. So now it will cross back and go the other way. And they hook it on the poles that they skipped the first time over.
Tell me when you got it.
Okay.
With all the rope over now, they are going through and tightening it all to make sure it has a snug fit, keeping the plastic firmly on the frame. And because those knots are slip knots, they can certainly untie them and retie them when they're snug. So we're not currently going to put doors on the end. That's a project we will certainly take on at a later time. But to get in and out for right now, you simply slip up the sides and you can go in that way. Tying off the ends seems to be the one part of this that we don't have any information on. We haven't been able to find videos on how this is done when they bunch it up out at the end rather than making a door or a wall. So you could have added the end walls, but it was quite a bit more expensive. So we didn't add that, and we figured it was something we could build on our own. But now we're going to try for temporarily to tie off the ends. So Rick drove in a T-post, and what'd you say, that's like 10 feet out from the edge? And he's gathering it and pulling it back. And I think we're just going to tie it off there.
Seems like it'll work, huh?
I think so. Are you gonna tie it with tie it with some rope or something, or just?
Wrap around a couple more times, maybe put a bungee cord on.
And then for these edges here, you can see that the wind's coming up under them. We're thinking about putting some sandbags on there just to hold it down for now, but we've got the side open there. And next I'm gonna have to start getting in there and get that soil leveled out. I think we're going to add in some mulched cow manure in there, and I've got some starts in the house that need to get out into the dirt. I have my first flower on a pea plant today. So this is our Farmer's Friend Caterpillar Gothic style greenhouse. And now it is pretty much finished. Jack Black's hoof is healing nicely, and he doesn't seem to be favoring anymore. So he's doing really well. Hey, Jack. Hey, little guy. Look at how big those horns are getting. But the kids have been working on training him on a leash to get him ready for showing him at the county fair for 4-H. It's still several months off, but they wanted to start practicing with him. But in the meantime, while we're looking at him doing well, Mama Goat over here has a little bump on her nose the kids were worried about. But it barely looks like anything at all right there.
Come on, Mom.
I think she's fine.
Come on, back up. Don't hit your kid. That's good. They're not too big.
So the kids have got her tied up out here. The kids, I should say, my kids have her tied up out here so she can forage around now that the snow's melting. And the two of her kids don't have to be on leads because they stick around their mama. And so they're all out enjoying the sunshine today and some fresh forage.
Nibbling on his foot.
Rick did a run into town because we realized a few things that we wanted to add on here. One of them is we wanted to make boards as a barrier to kind of keep the dirt inside. And so he got a bunch of those. Plus he got a bunch of bags of composted manure so we can work that into the soil. And he also rented a rototiller to kind of break all this up. It's really rocky, so we've been picking out rocks, but there's still a lot more. Plus it's just clumped up mud, and it's going to take time to amend the soil and make it ideal, but we're hoping to get a good start on getting it ready for vegetables. Well guys, there you have it. Right there at the end of the time lapse, the rototiller actually broke. It was no longer operational. We hoped to make a couple more passes. However, that just wasn't in the stars. So we've got to take the machine back. It was a rental, and I don't know if we'll bring it back or not, because I'm so eager to get this thing planted that I'm probably just going to go through with a hoe and finish mixing in the manure and making it as level as I want. But you can see it's really close. So the idea is we'll have 3 rows, one each on the outside edges and then one in the middle, and then 2 walking paths. So we didn't focus the composted manure in the walking paths, because we will ultimately be putting wood chips there, and that'll make it less muddy on the boots, having the wood chips in the walking paths. So we do hope to do no-till gardening. However, I know the purists will say, but you just rototilled it. I know. We are starting with what you may call virgin dirt. We are in the Ozarks, which is notorious for being full of rocks, and oh boy, it is definitely full of rocks. And it seems to be rocks and clay is the composition. Where we come from in Arizona, it is rocks and sand. And so kind of different composition than what we're used to. So this is actually not as hard to dig through, but it is still extremely dense, and it clumps because of all of that clay. However, we needed to rototill to get a lot of those rocks out. When we first put the dirt in and we're trying to spread it by shovels and hoes, I was a little depressed thinking of how long it was going to take to get it where I needed it to do an initial planting. And of course it's going to improve over time, and we'll be adding compost and all kinds of good stuff, amendments over time. However, this being our first year, we needed to break up that dirt, and we will also be using a rototiller or a tiller attachment on the tractor for the outside garden beds to break up all of the grass and to get the rocks out of there. We do want to preserve our soil health and build that soil health, but it's going to take time. And so for this first year, we are tilling the earth, and we'll go from there. But the Farmer's Friend greenhouse is finished being built. We have it now operational. It's steamy warm in here. Lots of moisture and condensation. It's dripping down on me periodically like it's raining in here. So that tells me I can bring out the plants that I've already started and get them into the soil. I now have 2 pea plants that have flowers, and they really need to be out here so they can stretch their roots and grow. And I hope to have this thing packed full with lovely vegetables in the very near future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to keep following our adventure.